Welcome to Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet. Join Janet and her friends as they gather at the intersection of consciousness and self-experience, what being consciousness in human form is all about. Access heart-centered awareness with them and feel the difference in the moment that will last a lifetime.
Hello, and welcome to Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet. I'm Janet Barrett. This podcast is my absolute joy to share with you. In choosing to listen in to this podcast, you will find it different from others. It is what I recognize as a reality of active transcendent energy, and it can be that for you too. That is what heart-centered awareness, the field of unified consciousness, is. It is both state and sense, alive with potential and transcendent points between consciousness and what we call self or mind. You will become a traveler in this medium called consciousness while never leaving your chair. That means recognizing and having change and shift in our habituated viewpoints of judgments are possible, and you will feel the relaxation in the energy dynamics as you experience your journey. We will move from thinking in terms of singular events to flow thinking. Stuff happens, but it is visible as a pattern of vibration and resonance, not isolated incidents. Awareness becomes present, and it is a shift in the vibration and resonance. We are in a reality of potential, alive and active and user-friendly. This podcast is designed to work on many levels, as that is consciousness. Depending on what you are in alignment with to experience is what you will get. My wish for you is that you can stop the doing in these next few moments and engage as an active participant in this transcendent reality. Or you can just listen as you do other things and perhaps miss being an active listener traveler and being present now. What do I mean? Well, for instance, many of us with children know what it is like to be aware of your child or children in the other room while you're busy elsewhere. A parent's sense of safety for their child is always operating and cued to the sounds of the child. That is one way of listening, but you are not in awareness of being present with your child, in his mind and in his constructions, and if you were, it might be challenging to stay present to what you are doing in the other room. Knowing your child is safe frees you up a bit to relax, be present, and focus on what you are doing. If you are looking for a place to spend time in a warm, supportive, non-judgmental state with your stuff of worries and issues and sense of separateness, here you are. For those of you who meditate and make time to let the day drop away, let us be here together. What happens when we sit in such a space with our collection of stuff? If you feel you are missing something essential in your life, you will find it here. What is it like to find your essential, your inner voice, your intuitive self without judgment? If you feel alone with your sense of being awakened, you will find others. What does that feel like? If you know that there is more to life, you will find it here. If you consider yourself spiritual, but not interested in religious dogma of any kind, this is a great space for you. Let yourself let go of the doing and find a space and place to unwind with me and the rest of us. Let yourself be present. Notice your breathing now. Well, there you go. You're breathing, right? What would it be like to notice that you're breathing while sitting in your chair? While sitting in your chair, together, we are actively creating reality along with others on this planet right in this moment. We are all in this together, affecting each other to experience being. We are in the reality of oneness as a dynamic experience with wholeness as our navigational tool. Consider the virus that has activated. It is now everywhere, and how quickly, and different mechanisms seem to be in play. Past plagues are a powerful genetic memory. Maybe it doesn't take much to stimulate the dynamic. And where before they may have been isolated, now with our technology awareness of the global market, so is disease. The ability to spread information is beyond our mind's limited comprehension at times. When time is malleable, then space is also. There is no distance. Being present now is all about being present without time and space operating. There is no past or future or distance, just now, the present. How is that possible? How do we make the opening between the past and the future as the now bigger? We do it with intention. We hear this, but what does that feel like? First, our stories about who we are as humans have to relax. By the way, how are you breathing? Same as before, or looser, deeper perhaps? Quieting the mind is quieting the stories we have told ourselves and keep building resonance into habituated patterns of thinking and feeling. When something becomes habituated, we are experiencing information that no longer holds a level of awareness for us. Only when our attention is brought back to it can something different happen, become engaged. That is the dynamics in consciousness technologies of any kind. This is the field of quantum physics and mechanics, and things work differently in this realm. Time and space are malleable. Here, we are all travelers and creators in our shared realities that can change and be felt in an instant in your reality of habituated patterns of behaviors and feelings. Sitting in your chair, what is relaxing is your body and your sense of self that is involved in creating your daily realities. Add accessing your intuitive sense of essence, soul, spirit, consciousness core, or use your word. The quiet of the unseen, unknown, uninformed is present. Potential is active, and energy transformation, and ultimately transcendent. Life becomes different in its flow. Here are a few words for you to consider. What is the difference between transform and transcend? Transform is to change greatly, the appearance or form of something, while transcend is to pass beyond the limits of something. And what we are all about, going beyond what we think we know, what we feel, what we have limited ourselves to. Choice is the act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. We choose to stop what we are doing and to do something else. We choose to change our thinking and then behavior about some element of our personal stories. Shift is to move or cause to move from one place to another, especially over a small distance. My awareness is that this action is not only physical distance, but mentally, emotional, psychically, spiritually, and psychologically. And change, the act or instance of making or becoming different. Everything comes down to making new choices that are then felt through shift or change. State, sense, reality are all kind of the same thing with nuances. They are how we hold our references of experience and information in being. Let's take this moment about stopping what you are doing and become a traveler in your chair. Sitting in a chair is great, as you can hold awareness of your body differently than lying down. So let's be relaxed and present in mind as our starting place, and use your hearing as you access into bringing your mind of awareness in heart. Our thinking now becomes part of heart awareness, not the mind of self. Our thoughts of who we are, of ourself, are relaxing. We go past our human emotional resonances of heart and into the core of consciousness. Let's be present. It's easy, just a shift of focus. We notice our physical breath. Start there. No special kind of breath, just the appreciation that you are breathing. Now, you may have meditation and mindfulness trainings, and they're great and very useful. We're going to let go of that here. The getting there is not what we are after. We are being here. So let's just notice our heartbeat and connect the two, where you feel your breath move through your heart. There we go. I bet your breath is deepening. Our focus is not to breathe deeper or correctly in some way. It is to connect being alive into being present and centered. So, we have moved from our heads, our mind states, the holder of self, and now into heart, which is our connection to essence, consciousness, God, spirit, source, universe, cabbage, whatever your word might be, into our awareness of that which is bigger than you alone and beyond description, though we do our best to describe it, don't we? We are all moving into the awareness of the vibrational nature of being and form. Now, Rupert Sheldrake talks about the reality of morphic resonance, a state of shared genetic memory that is active and creating our shared sense of reality. It's current. That information is free-flowing vibrational resonances and everywhere, available at the same time and in constant creation. To take this to an active transcendent state from a viewing sense about life, we're going to feel it. So, notice what you're feeling. Notice your body. You may not know that you're feeling, so here we are. What would it be like to feel an ease and shift in what you think you feel and think yourself to be? It is quite fun when you let it happen. Notice your breath. We are sharing in a conversation exploring heart-centered awareness, the field of unified consciousness, as an active, transformational sense of transcendence that is available to each of us. The realm of spirit and consciousness is filled with the senses of malleable time and space, where our physical reality seems to hold them as fixed. Time and space are human creations of thinking, and they have become standards to anchor our experiences to. We have developed a process where stuff happens over the course of time and plays out. The truth? Whatever we think manifests instantly. In the spirit realm, this is clear, and in this physical world, which embodies contrast, it is not. Without mind to guide us with judgments which are bias and interpretation, we become sensory without form. My references will switch between hearing and seeing and knowing, etc., and my words will reflect them all, because we are aware in many ways as dynamic life forms. Spirit is inclusive in spectrum. In active transformational reality, when you listen in, your energies and potential are engaging as active, and shift is afoot, not just something to observe. We become flow-oriented, not event-oriented. It is not enough to see and have a new awareness. How many times have we had an awareness and it didn't change anything? You set up adaptive behavior to try and control not having to experience or feel the same in the future. The patterns involved are still engaged without being different. When we're paying attention in a state of not being attached to the same outcome, however, we engage it and feel it in some way. You can register the shift or change as a new choice emerges. And it isn't about the outcome in the future, but in knowing and recognizing that something has changed right now. You feel different in sometimes subtle and sometimes dramatic ways. And now it doesn't really matter how you might notice this experience, though awareness is nice. Most of us can be pretty dumbed down to being alive, so awareness can seem to need to build over a sense of time, like many things we attach time and space to. But it doesn't have to. And we can have a change and think about it in another state of awareness, and it can change again. So we can recreate. We have that power in our mind. So we're going to just put all those questions aside for right now and just allow yourself to be a traveler in this realm. And it's about being, not doing. It's about being in an aware state or sense of being present, free of form, that comes through as ourself, which is a collection of a bunch of patterns of beliefs and behaviors and feelings. And it takes on such a seamless dynamic that you lose the discernments that make up your judgments about reality. Bias and perception are working together, creating a sense of anyone's life's theme, the story you've created about being you as human. Consider maybe reality is made up strips of film, individual groupings of pixels as pictures. Each grouping or picture validates individual moments of being in form. String them together, and those individual arrangements of pixels have become a moving moment of reality where we are captivated. We will take what we notice in our picture and activate it and let it become a moving, engaged state of reality. What are you noticing right now as you realize that your stories about who you are have maybe moved out of your center view lens? You may be noticing body stuff or thoughts about stuff in your life, and that is fine. We are moving into noticing. Noticing is where information is coming into sensory awareness without a story or belief or an expectation of being something. It is where we move out of our modality trainings and just let information be present. It is all empowered information, free of our limits of what it is. You may run into labels and confusions and trainings and languages at this point. It may have to be this or that in your setup of your orientations. And all of that is judgment and mind self showing up, somebody's idea what something is, and we're just letting that go here. And no matter where or how much you respect the creator of that information, just let it go. Just let it be. Just let the predictability, your expectation of what something is, go. Just enjoy being present, free of your own and someone else's illusions of what things are and are not. So, put that into the mix and let's see here. So, let something come into awareness that you have a feeling about. Some kind of issue. It may be body, it may be a person, doesn't really matter. Emotions are probably present. Notice that. If there's no story present, any emotional energies are user-friendly, serving only as information. So don't get tied up. Just notice how you're feeling and what that issue is about. Just be free of what you think it is. Just let the information be present. So there's lots of different ways to interact with it. So we're just going to let it be information. So why don't you give it a shape now, like an object, and put a handle on it, and let's move it out there, in your mind, out there, beyond your body, and let it go. We'll come back to it, maybe. In being present now, you are an active listener traveler, right? So there is no story memory to fall back onto. And my gift of being in form is noticing energies, and I'm sure it is yours too. We can register certain kinds, like emotional energies, for example. In the metaphysical trainings, I would be called an empath, but that is just an example, a term. During any conversation, I am paying attention to what my guest and I are noticing, and I'm noticing what resonates in the field. It shows up as information, and I can feel it as an energetic shift or change. It has some sort of resonance, vibration, and sometimes it comes with labels as feelings or emotions or bits of story elements, like maybe a field of flowers and a child playing. Maybe someone's exact story element, or it may be representational, or it could be a feeling like grief or confusion. All are energies, all can be felt, all are equal in the scheme of things. So just keep noticing. And both my guests and I may use different words, but we are in a shared awareness as oneness, that consciousness, God, Source, Spirit is active. As in consciousness technologies, change can happen in a moment of loosely focused intent, because as a reality, there we go, just a minute, of being alive, it is possible. It's possible because we say it is. So, and we are totally in this space, the field of what that means. Our intentions and expectations are in the same place. They're in alignment with that. So, let's see. What is possible? That's potential, not yet energy. The something we anchor to. We are all filled with potential. You remember being in grade school and your report cards tracking your potential and whether you were fulfilling it or not? Notice right in this moment how you feel about potential and let it go. Potential, that which is the undefined, the unknown, is in the field and you have access to it, and it is your power tool. It is what we are engaging to experience change. You cannot have something different, a different outcome, if you're using old information. You have got to go beyond what you know, because what you know is what you expect. Different than your intention. So, let's see. We are also dynamic. We can't imagine it. And that is our challenge, to be able to utilize our imaginations and change our realities of habituated experiences as wanted. I'm also not attached to what shifts you might be feeling. It's our time together, not so much our topic we are sharing in, that is important. We are co-creating. You are responsible for what you experience and create in your life as your sense of self. That is what this time and space is about. Being with yourself and in a user-friendly reality. What can be different? This means who you are is great. Every nook and cranny you hold to be you is fine. The pro, the con you're thinking that you are. I'm not here to judge you for being you. I am here to share in a bridge of transcendent reality with you. And what that means is that where you are starting from right now will be different by the time we are done. You will have taken that bridge between here to there, and it is different now. Just notice. Notice that issue where you put it up there a bit ago. Is it still there? Is it different in some way? Did it disappear? It is not the same in how you are to it, where it is, what it is now. There may seem that there is no change if it scared you for it to be different. This is true for a lot of people. Our thing becomes our companion for better or worse. It can provide connection in a seemingly negative way that is providing security. Just notice without attached. There you go. What would it be like that it changed and you didn't even notice it being different? Just be present. Don't go for the story. Just be present. If there's no story, then choice and shift is easy. A different choice is present, a new beginning. What would it be like to be on one side of the bridge and know that when you walk over and be on the other side, you are different in some way? There you go. Let's just be there. You may find this moment right now to be disorienting. The be that you were, the be that you are, the be you have no idea who's present. Just let it all shift around. That's the whole intention. So we're not looking to be the same, are we? The same is what you got. We're looking to how to be who we were as a marker in consciousness, and who you can be to be active. There we go. Let's just let it. Yeah. So what if it's all getting shook up in there? That's a good thing. I've done my good deed for the day. So just notice. And just breathe. Yeah, notice that breathing. Breathe through the heart. So what else can I share with you? Oh, every guest brings many, many influences and ways of noticing information and language. All of them, all of us, are spiritual creatures sharing in being and form and embody the diversity we find in being spiritual energy in that human form. We have different trainings and frames of references and are individual in our stories to be found in those forms. We may use the same language or different words to explain the same thing because we're coming out of different perspectives. They help represent the spectrum of potential and energy that we call consciousness. So we might be chatting about something, about time, for instance, and you go off in some awareness about an issue you have with someone. And in those moments, awareness comes to you, and the story elements as patterns of behavior and thinking start to engage differently. And you hold some sense that something is different and not anything you were expecting to contemplate or realize you held energy around. You thought you had dealt with it. We're often caught in that. Well, I thought I dealt with this already, and there it is again. But it's in a new state of informational release, so that's what's key. So just in noticing, and I'm going to use that word a lot, I always do. And noticing is because we're such sensory creatures. You sitting in that chair there, you have a different awareness. You're in an open state. You can hear something, see something, feel something, smell something. Whatever it might be, information is available. So in noticing, that frees you up. That's your cue to just go beyond the story of expectation and just what sense is operating. And consider that time and space are a sense also, and what happens. Consciousness is a self, itself is a sense. And what happens? Yeah, that kind of stretches the brain, doesn't it? You can feel it. You can feel the heart deepening. Oh, I love that. Notice that, everybody. The heart didn't get expansive, it deepened, because that's where the core is, deep. So, let me see what else. A truth is what we focus on. That is a truth. Okay. Let me get back up here. Whatever we focus on becomes more. That's the way those dynamics work. Energy collects. So when we shift focus to something or somewhere else, that can allow for change to happen. Because if you're busy noticing something and have an expectation or an intention, and you'll see where the difference in those things is, I want something different. That's an intention. And the expectation under there is, not going to happen. I like it this way. And there you go. Ooh, that's interesting. That just took me out of that story. So, yeah, when you allow it to change, it can change. There you go, guys. If you keep reinforcing the wall and the dam of belief, you are reinforcing the wall and the belief, and nothing changes there. And all of this depends on how you be in awareness of being present. I have met many spiritually aware people over my years. Wonderful energies, sharing with all of us how to be in and out of form. But they don't always hold themselves in being present as an active state of transcendence. They can see things, our patterns, but we don't engage them with our vision as an active reality, that the change is available in our moment of awareness. Matrix energetics, access consciousness, EFT, for example, hold this at their foundations, that with a bit of loosely held, focused intent, change in the moment is possible. You will feel something different as it's becoming different. Malleable time and space are active. In my reality, there is only being in a form and out of a form. When in form, I have form as a body. When I am essence, I have no form, and I still be. Being present now, I offer you much more than just a voice to follow, but an activation through the listening, a place of active transformational reality with people who are enjoying such and the power in being together in the moment. We tend to think of ourselves as problem solvers, right? Which is okay, but that is about doing. As beings in form, our problems or challenges are really just our opportunities to explore being in form, walking essence, walking spirit, walking in the collective we call consciousness. There is no agenda other than being. Our sense of self is a collection of vibrational information. We each are being on many different levels, creating, writing, directing, acting, and being crew on our own personal movie about life. And it is a never-ending story that embodies many or maybe just a few highlights for the closing credit reel, each time going around of being spirit in form and out of form. Each episode of this podcast is my invitation to you to come play with me and my guests for an hour or so and see what change any of us can experience when being is looking to express and can experience when being present in heart-centered awareness, the field of unified consciousness. We are taking our words and unconscious driving thoughts into conscious focus. We can often hold a belief that we are faulty or worthless. It is only a belief that we have allowed ourselves to foster in us as truth on the self level. It is not true on our essence level of awareness. These thoughts only provide us with a direction about engagement and exploration. When you're attached to outcome, you're hooked. But when you open it up and you realize that there's much more going on here, and in the totality of being, then it is just a moment. How is it when we engage with ourselves in the spectrum of oneness and wholeness, and not just because we are in judgment? When we are free of judgment, there's nothing wrong or to fix or to limit us. We realize that it is all interpretation that we are choosing to experience. This is the physical realm of contrast, as Abraham through Esther Hicks would say. What we experience in our realities is an active state and sense of being in form. That is what we're demonstrating here. At the intersections of consciousness and self is each of us collectively resonating in oneness. We each are sharing an information in the moment, creating experience, and incorporating wholeness, the awareness of the range of that information for each of us, into useful patterns in being. It is what happens when we meet in being present now. Life is a string of collections of connections as choices, and a body of work in progress. It is your journey and my journey into enlightenment. Thank you for traveling with me. These two quotes rather sum up the influences in my life for the last 20 years or so, and changing who I thought I was. You are more than your thoughts, your body, or your feelings. You are a swirling vortex of limitless potential who is here to shake things up and create something new that the universe has never seen. Turn frustration into fascination. And that's from Dr. Richard Bartlett, author of Matrix Energetics. And this one, the moment you change your perception is the moment you rewrite the chemistry of your body, by Dr. Bruce H. Lipton. I would recommend exploring more if you want the details about consciousness technologies and what can happen with a bit of shift in your perceptions about you and your story, and how to do that. All too often, we are not aware that we are creating our story of being alive to be about dying a slow death. I was at one time. It was my great fortune to meet Dr. Cam Ewan of Ewan Energetics and Dr. Richard Bartlett of Matrix Energetics, both in the emerging field of consciousness technologies, and to be able to look at my story of life in new ways and write new chapters and change the direction in being with a shift of focus. You can check out Matrix Energetics, UN Method, Access Consciousness, EFT, Psyche, for example, or works by Deepak Chopra. Some links are listed on my episode 31 webpage at www.janetandbeyond.com. You will also find a link for an article on your quantum mind in action to enjoy. I will offer you a few quotes from different sources that all have, I'm sure, what you'll notice in common. I am not my thoughts, emotions, sense perceptions, or experiences. I am not the content of my life. I am life. I am the space in which all things happen. I am consciousness. I am the now. I am. Eckhart Tolle, who helped bring us into awareness of being present now. In the stillness of the mind, intelligence can blossom beyond human limitation. Sadhguru said that. And the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Albert Einstein. The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind. Carolyn Moss. And we close with, I believe in the power of wandering. All of my best decisions have been made with heart, intuition, and guts, not analysis. When you can make a decision with analysis, you should do so. But it turns out in life that your most important decisions are always made with instincts, intuition, taste, and heart. Jeff Bezos of Amazon. From the Meditation Archive at Interlude, an internet retreat, we feature Time to Upgrade Your Consciousness.
Is it time to upgrade your consciousness? Do you ever feel like you'd like to reboot your brain, clear out memory, and start over with fewer conflicts and increased resources? While computers are often compared to the human brain, our brains don't really work that way. But what if we could manage our mind like we manage our computer system? Would it be time for a consciousness upgrade? Some people enjoy using their old, familiar operating system, but if you are keeping up with technology, you know that the newest operating system upgrade will let you do many things more easily. If you're operating your brain in the same frame of mind you had 10 or more years ago, you're probably underpowered and working too hard. If you were born in the 1940s or 50s and were working with the same mental operating system you grew up with, you would probably often feel that you were the victim of circumstances. Your emotions would be a mystery to you. You would not have the ability to alter them. You would get angry easily and not know what to do about it. You would see the operation of mind and body as quite separate. You would be eating a diet high in fat and cholesterol. When you exercised, you would never drink water because it might give you a cramp. You would not lift weights because it would make you muscle-bound and slow. You would sleep with rollers in your hair if female and put oil on your hair if male. You would not consider going to a nice restaurant, church, or the airport dressed casually. You would be certain that males are superior to females, the weaker sex, and if male, you would be unable to cry. If ordered to go to war, you would do it unquestioningly. You would be good at following orders. You would not question your religion. You would see other religions as deeply flawed or very weird. You would believe that race is a very significant difference between people. If you were running the white version of your mental operating system, you would believe that people of color, and you would call them something less polite, are inferior. You would not expect them to do well in business, sports, or education. Your expansion slot related to gay people would be empty. You would work hard, but probably see your success or lack of it as largely dependent on luck. You would think that sexual abuse was very rare, and striking family members would be considered acceptable if you were the adult, and especially if you were the male. You would strive to be rational. Your body awareness would not be running in the upper memory area. You would not know about wizards. Your connectivity would be limited. Your mental screen might be black and white. Keeping in mind that partial upgrades are possible, let's look at what we might get if we upgrade to the Millennium Plus 20 brain operating system. One of the first things you will notice is that this is an open architecture system. You can control what you put into your thinking and behavior. With the upgrade, you feel more in charge of your own destiny. You have a greater appreciation of the old computer concept of garbage in, garbage out. You take control and responsibility for the information you download to your brain from the media and other sources. You know that to live a happy life, you need to focus on the good. You have increased awareness of your emotions, and you know that your thoughts play an important role in forming and directing your feelings. You can set your word processor to positive mode so that what comes out of your mouth is helpful to others and what you think is helpful to you. You have more control over your body. You have access to an incredible database of exercise and stress reduction techniques to help you become more strong, flexible, and relaxed. You can also create multimedia experiences using imagery and visualization to calm the mind and help the body heal itself. Your new system comes with a wide, universal bus that provides better access to the cosmic network. You know that through prayer and meditation, you can reach higher levels of mental and spiritual awareness. You can tap into the ultimate power source without interference from network administrators telling you how and when you can log on. Your new operating system includes acceptance of full responsibility for your responses to the events of your life. Breathing as a method of increasing awareness and otherwise altering mental states. Ability to handle 3D and millions of colors. You can see people and events in their complexity. Peer-to-peer networking. All people are accepted as valuable and born with the same rights. Full integration with the cosmos. You sense that you are a part of the big picture. Non-artificial intelligence. Intuition is valued along with reason. Synchronicity is welcomed as an additional source of input in decision-making. Mindfulness. No longer an esoteric concept, but something you practice every day, every moment. Healing through the use of mental imagery, directing bioenergy, and adjustment of mental attitude. The power of intention. A whole mind-body package. Increased awareness for the need for good nutrition, exercise, and rest, as well as acceptance that the way you think is dependent on the way you take care of your body, and the way you feel is dependent on the way you think. A wide range of meditation technologies. Regardless of their original source, meditation techniques are seen as useful tools for mental and spiritual development and good for physical health. Think about how you run your life and your mind. Are you getting all you can out of life? Do you feel empowered, balanced, in harmony with the world? Maybe it's time to upgrade your consciousness. There's no single download site, and while the upgrade can be instantaneous for some, it can be a slow, hard process for others. You have to ask yourself, where do I want to go this lifetime?
This is the episode 31 blog, Heart-Centered Awareness, the Field of Unified Consciousness is Alive. What we call heart-centered awareness, the field of unified consciousness, is actually an active transformational reality if you were to recognize it as such. Your world is not just something you observe, but are actively creating through our shared genetic memory. Rupert Sheldrake calls it morphic resonance. The potential in being is the unknown, available material able to interact with energy. The realm of spirit and consciousness is filled with the senses of malleable time and space, where our physical reality seems to hold them as fixed. Time and space have become standards to anchor our experiences to. We have developed a process where stuff happens over the course of time and plays out. The truth? Whatever we think manifests instantly. Our challenge in this is that we are unclear in our manifesting, creating all kinds of oppositional dynamics. In the spirit realm, this is clear. And in this physical world, which embodies contrast, it is not. We shift from the set quality that our daily reality may seem to be and become flow-oriented, not event-oriented. It is not enough to see and have a new awareness. How many times have we had an awareness, or someone else has had one for us, and it didn't change anything? Instead, you set up adaptive behavior to try and control not having to experience or feel the same in the future. The patterns involved originally are still engaged without being different, and you may be busy activating an existing or developing the pattern that knowing the truth doesn't make a difference in changing the wound or world of you. When we are paying attention in a state of not being attached to the same outcome, we can engage it and feel it in a different and some new way. We don't have to validate the existing story. That is the now. The pattern is in your past. It is your past. It has no need to continue into your future, does it? Unless you are attached in recreating the pattern every time. You can register the change or shift as a new choice emerges. And it isn't about the outcome in the future, but in knowing and recognizing that something has changed right now. You feel different in sometimes subtle and sometimes dramatic ways. This is being present now. Time and space have shifted a bit, and our stories of what we are feeling are now stopped. All the elements that we think we are, personality, patterns of beliefs and behaviors, emotions, thought, etc., are not us. We may call them I, me, mind, or self, but we are bigger. We are, as Eckhart Tolle says, I am not my thoughts, emotions, sense perception, and experiences. I am not the content of my life. I am life. I am the space in which all things happen. I am consciousness. I am the now. I am. In the quiet, the calmness, the sacred of being aware as consciousness, there is none of the doing of working at something that self is busy perpetrating. You instead become an active listener. Life is not about doing, though it may look like that. It is about being. Our reality takes on such a seamless dynamic that you lose the discernments that make up your judgments about your realities. Your bias and perceptions and experiences work together, creating a sense of anyone's life theme, the story you've created about being you as human. Consider reality as made up of strips of film, individual groupings of pixels as pictures. Each grouping or picture validates individual moments of being and form. String them together, and those individual arrangements of pixels become a moving moment of reality where we are captivated. We will take what we notice in our picture and activate it and let it become a moving, engaged state of reality. Now, it doesn't matter how you might notice this experience happening in the moment, though awareness is nice. Most of us can be pretty dumbed down to being alive, so awareness can seem to build over a sense of time, like many things we attach time and space to. But it doesn't have to. The more you pay attention that something is different is possible and could be enjoyed, it comes into form, into reality. Thank you for joining me here at Journeys to Enlightenment with Janet. A new episode is released every 2 weeks. Any questions or thoughts or guests you'd like to suggest, you can email me directly at janetandbeyondpodcast@outlook.com. For more information about all the elements that make up each episode, they are on my podcast page at my website, www.janetandbeyond.com. While there, you will also find information about my other podcast show, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet, and all about my work with clients. You can sign up to receive my regular weekly blog, Life in the Beyond, Journeys into Enlightenment. If you're looking for other regular opportunities to sit in heart-centered awareness with myself and others, you can join us in my Fuzzy Photons playground groups I offer on Wednesdays. Live interactive space via Zoom video conferencing. You can follow each episode of this podcast series on my YouTube channel, Journeys into Enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Till the next time, notice what feels different right in this moment. It is real, and it can last a lifetime.